Good afternoon and welcome back to part two of our two-part series on a partial note investment. And I'm Marcus Malika with the Note Consultants, and many of you know me as the T-Value guy at the Note Investor Conferences, the Paper Source, Noteworthy, and other conferences, or maybe some of my webinars that you've attended that I've done for other individuals and companies in the note investing industry. So this part two series, just to kind of summarize that first video, we showed you how to create Schedule B of a note, Schedule A being the payor's note and what the borrower is paying for their loan on the property, and then creating a Schedule B so that if I, for example, sold a house with seller financing, I'm carrying the financing back, created a note, 30-year note, and I decided to sell a partial note, part of that 30-year note, to an investor. And that investor could be someone else in the note industry who buys and sells notes. It could be a private individual that just wants to have cash flow. Maybe they're in retirement, maybe they're nearing retirement. I often talk to people that like to buy notes as part of their retirement for cash flow, and they might only want to buy 5 years to 10 years of payments and maybe diversify a little bit on different notes and things they have so that they have cash flow and they're getting above average rates of return on their money that could be sitting in maybe a retirement account that's maybe just sitting cash. I mean, they could have a Roth IRA with cash just sitting there, and now they're going to put it to work. Or maybe sitting at a bank getting 0.2% and they want to earn some higher returns on that. And so these are good opportunities to get above average rates of return secured by real estate. So there could be numerous situations where we have this situation, and that many people don't know, and maybe you didn't know that you could actually carry the financing back, first of all, on a seller finance note, and secondly, sell part of that loan to anybody as an investment. So maybe you want cash up front, maybe to go buy another note, or maybe you need it to pay off some debt or something like that. So there are numerous situations where that can come about. All right, so this second part series, we want to answer the question, who gets what in the event of an early payoff? So the first one was, we had a 30-year note, we sold 5 years of payments, 60 payments, and then the question is, if that note pays off early, in the case we're going to do today, the note pays off in 3 years, and we answer the question, who gets what? How much does the borrower, the buyer, the payor, how much do they pay to pay off the note, whether refinancing, whether they're selling the house, whatever it is, how much do they owe? And that partial note investor that bought 5 years of payments, what do they get? And then for us as a note holder, we essentially own what's called the tail end. So payment 61 through 360 would come back to us. So what do we get when that pays off in 3 years as well? So let me take you back to my summary, and then what I'll do is show you what our schedules look like. So just to kind of refresh from the first video, Schedule A is what the payor's note is, what the borrower's paying on the 30-year note at 10%. They have a monthly payment of $1,228. We sell a partial, 5-year partial with 60 payments. Now the two scenarios that we went over as far as the basis is the yield that the investor gets on buying the note. So oftentimes in the note industry, the investors are buying at discounts. So a 10% note they might buy at 12%. I might provide that note to somebody else that's a private individual that wants to put some of their money to work and get an 8% return, and they're perfectly happy with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And then the question is, who gets what in the event of an early payoff, but what schedule do I use to determine what that investor is going to get? And that part depends on what you have in the agreement with that investor. All right, so the easy way that I've come up with to show this is where I create a master schedule. As I showed you last time, I use my handy dandy T-value to create the amortization schedules. From T-value, I export those schedules to to Excel or a CSV file, and then I combine the schedules to create a master schedule here, and that's what this is. So the Schedule A here is the payors note at 10%. This is the full note that the borrower is paying on, 360 payments. The partial note, now here, Schedule B is at the note rate. So for many of you that ask this question, what is Schedule B? Schedule B is at the note rate. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you are going to use to pay off your partial investor. In most cases it is, but like I said, it depends what the agreement is between you and that investor. But Schedule B, which we define here as this partial note at the note rate, the 60 payments. Okay, and then you'll see over here we have a column that I've created remainder. Oh, we got a little spelling error here. Let's take that out. A remainder interest that goes to the note seller or note holder. So let's go down here to payment 36. So after 3 years, that borrower decides to sell the house or refinance the house, it's going to pay off this note, $137,412. And the partial note investor is going to get $26,624. And then what would come back to us as the note holder, note seller, is $110,787. Now, the formula that we use here is essentially A minus B equals C. So as a note holder or seller, we essentially have the tail end. So just to refresh from the first video, after those 60 payments, if they go in full to that partial investor, payment 61 comes back to us as the note seller, note holder. Okay, but in the event of the early payoff, we're going to use our formula A minus B equals C to determine who gets what. Okay, so again, this is at the note rate. We're going to go over here to this other basis schedule. For some of you that maybe use a basis schedule to pay off, this is not what we call Schedule B. My terminology for this one is Schedule D. And Schedule D is our basis schedule. So whatever letter you want to give it, it's still the basis schedule. And the basis schedule is at the rate, the yield that the investor is going to get based on what they purchased the note for. So they purchased at a discount. All right. And now we're going to go down here to see month 36, still the same payoff for the borrower. And the payoff for the partial investor would be $26,099, and then the 111 to the note holder, note seller. So you can see there's a slight difference here, getting a little bit more to the note seller by paying that off, and then you're getting less for the investor on paying off. So as I mentioned before, that pays off early, the yield to the partial investor should go up. And again, I want to show you this other basis schedule at 8%. If I sell a partial at 8% to a private investor, they're going to be paid on this schedule most likely. So they get an 8% return. If I pay them off on the Schedule B, their yield is going to go down. So I want them to get their 8% return. And let's go down here so we can see the 137,412 for the payoff, 27,164 to that partial investor, remainder interest to us here as the note holder, note seller. All right, so it's important to make the distinction between those schedules, Schedule B, Schedule C, and in this case, Schedule D. Schedule C is our remainder interest. A minus B equals C. All right, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Again, you can reach me 714-791-3608, or you can email me at thenoteconsultants@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.